At the World Economic Forum with Brian Damas, former CEO of Eskom, now with African Rainbow Energy and Power. This place is quite depressing this year, don't you think, Brian? People are worried, doom and gloom merchants everywhere. It makes South Africa seem quite cheerful by comparison.
Yeah, it makes us realize that we're not alone.
Yeah.
Firstly, realize that we're part of a globe, so you can't extricate yourself from that. And that the crises and the issues we deal with at home, everybody deals with that. Whether it's food prices going up, whether it's energy prices going up, whether it is how we're concerned about supply chains, to products and services or commodities that needs to get out, those things are real. Or whether it's about the impact of climate like we've seen in Durban. Again, those are real. And so these problems we have is part of the world and hence, we need to find our own solutions, but we're not alone.
Is there a solution creating place? Do good ideas come out of here, or is it just a mutual mournful session of, oh, woe is us?
No, I think in building solutions, you have to connect some of the dots. So yes, there's some very interesting discussions on many aspects. It allows you a deeper and better understanding as to what to focus on in your own business, what to focus on, I guess, for governments around regulation, what they have to do. So that's quite useful. And for us, we find quite a lot of value out of that in talking to our colleagues from different parts of the world and having a sense as to how do they implement changes in their countries.
And are you learning anything about electricity provision and alternative energies? And there's a revolution worldwide happening in all of this. As the world races for decarbonization.
Absolutely, but actually the world is in a very interesting place that, it can follow two paths. One is to accelerate the decarbonization. The other one is to all of us to be concerned about security. And if you're concerned about energy security and use energy sources you may lock yourself into a carbon path that is undoable. You can't undo it, So it's an interesting inflection point. Our investment has been in technology, our investment has been in renewables, our investment has been in clean, and how do we accelerate going forward? And so we're quite pleased with that, but taking full cognizance that that's not the only solution. You need other sources as well, and you need greater investments in grids and many other infrastructure aspects that needs to happen.
But again, okay, so we've got a power shortage and we've had one for 15 years. The rest of the world is worried about running out of energy at some point and is worried about the nuclear versus coal versus renewables debate. And China's heavily invested in coal and will continue to invest in coal for decades. And India doesn't seem to be willing to wean itself off coal anytime soon either. We're under huge pressure as South Africa to wean ourselves off coal with our aging fleets, as you well know. Where is our solution from your current perspective?
No, the solution lies in a balance of all of that. We build renewables and we should build that at significant amounts of scale going forward in South Africa. That alone will not solve the problem. The one that you haven't mentioned is gas.
Of course.
And the rest of the world is talking about gas and how gas is that transition that allows us to be able to get to things such as hydrogen. And hydrogen is quite interesting and very interesting work being done in South Africa, and we're well positioned as a country to deal with that in a green way. And many companies doing great things. You've seen what Anglo has done, you've seen what Sasol is doing. Why? Because it's got this high sense of energy density, so it can solve a lot of that. And it allows you not to go down the path of things such as nuclear. But we have to get our current fleet of coal plants to work. We need to decommission what is old to save water, more importantly in South Africa. And actually, it will give you a better sense of how to handle with the energy security issues. We have to invest in expansion of our grids. So without the expanding of our grids in South Africa, or in the whole of Southern Africa, we will not be able to get to a cleaner, greener future.
We've got an energy minister very keen on nuclear as part of the solution. You're suggesting that it's not or shouldn't be?
No, nuclear for South Africa has made a lot of sense. The capital cost for us is just unbearable.
Yeah.
We cannot afford it. There are better, cheaper alternatives. I do believe that things such as hydrogen, or for that matter, long duration energy storage, where we invest significant amounts in, does provide a solution. I also believe that if you can interconnect more of Southern Africa, and you unleash the gas, and you unleash some of the hydro, and build an integrated network in Southern Africa, you can, to a great extent, deal with the energy needs.
And that's 10, 15 years hence. 10, 15 months hence, do we have a solution?
15 months hence, the only thing that we can build in 10, 15 months is solar or 18 months a wind farm, provided we start today. Now, we have doing 200 megawatts now for the mining industry.
Yep.
That's significant. We have 2,000 megawatts of pipeline capacity that we're going to close over the next year. But again, it needs access to the grid. It needs a whole lot of things to happen. We have seen movement, so there's been great support to have
Is
it
the
done.
policy and the legislation sufficient to get this moving now? Or do we still have hurdles to
We have seen the movement of the 100 megawatts.
Yeah.
We've seen the regulator deal with that. Our first 200 megawatt projects has just gone through this week. We've announced that.
Good.
That is closing in July. That's going to be
When do we
built.
get building, and when can we flick a light on it and say,
We
that
start
comes from a
building
solar
from
panel?
the 1st of August.
Brilliant.
Okay, so that is for a mining company. But we have to do a lot more of that.
Sure.
But the issue that we're talking about is not unique to South Africa, particularly the issue around building grids. Building grids requires land and requires permitting of land, expropriation for servitudes. In Europe it takes 10 years. In South Africa it also takes 10 years. That time we have to reduce, because without that, and that's not an Eskom issue, it's something where all of us will have together, the private landowners, the IPPs that owns the land, Eskom that owns some of the land.
It's a state of emergency, though, isn't it?
It is, and needs to be done.
Brian Damas is the Chief Executive of African Rainbow Energy and Power.
Thank you, Bruce.
Cheers.